The remarkable development of the Chinese Navy in recent years is truly noteworthy. From a once weak naval force to one capable of competing with global powers today, there are indeed many stories behind this transformation, particularly those involving the 8 vessels bearing distinct Russian characteristics. These include 4 modern-class destroyers, 2 Type 051C destroyers, and 2 Type 052B destroyers. They played a crucial role in the early stages of the Chinese Navy's development, especially in filling critical gaps. However, today their technology has become outdated, leaving them as something of a burden for the Navy, too costly to keep but too obsolete to discard. Online discussions about their future are heated, with some joking about gifting them back to Russia or simply decommissioning them as target ships. Today, we delve into the story of these vessels and examine how they reached this juncture. First, let's examine the modern-class destroyers. These 4 ships, Hangzhou, Fuzhou, Taizhou, and Ningbo, were purchased from Russia. The initial 2 were Type 956E vessels, contracted in 1996 at a cost of $800 million and delivered in 1999 and 2000. The latter 2 were upgraded 956M variants, acquired in 2002 at an additional cost of $1.4 billion and commissioned in 2005 and 2006. The backdrop for these acquisitions was heightened tensions across the Taiwan Strait, where frequent U.S. carrier deployments exposed the limitations of China's then mainstream naval vessels. At that time, China's vessels had limited range and poor air defense capabilities, rendering them incapable of countering U.S. carrier strike groups. The modern-class destroyers filled this gap. With a displacement of nearly 7,900 tons, they were equipped with 8 supersonic anti-ship missiles capable of speeds up to Mach 2.8 and ranges of 120 kilometers, advanced technology for the era. Russia originally planned to build 28 modern-class destroyers, but following the Soviet Union's dissolution, only 17 were completed. China became the largest buyer of the remaining vessels. Upon acquisition, these ships helped establish the Chinese Navy's presence on the international stage. The Hangzhou and Fuzhou were commissioned successively, joining the East Sea Fleet and participating in numerous maritime exercises. The Taizhou and Ningbo were commissioned later, further enhancing the Navy's anti-ship capabilities. While these vessels adopted Russian design principles featuring compact hull structures and steam turbine propulsion, they also exhibited significant shortcomings, such as inefficient internal space utilization and limited modification potential. By 2025, all 4 modern-class destroyers remained in active service. The Hangzhou and Fuzhou underwent major refits in 2019, installing domestically produced vertical launch systems equipped with HQ-9B air defense missiles and YJ-18 anti-ship missiles. Their radar and electronic systems were also upgraded for compatibility with Chinese naval systems. However, the Taizhou and Ningbo remain technologically outdated, still employing Russian-made Sunrise missiles and the STIL air defense system without undergoing major overhauls. Due to the high cost of retrofitting and the inherent difficulty in making significant structural modifications to Russian-designed vessels, these 2 ships have received limited modernization upgrades. Next, we examine the Type 051C destroyers. These 2 vessels, the Shenyang and Shijiazhuang, were constructed by the Dalian shipyard, launched in 2004 and 2005, respectively, and formally commissioned in 2006 and 2007. The Type 051C destroyers have a displacement of 7,100 tons. Their most notable feature is the Russian-designed RIFM air defense missile system, equipped with 48 missiles capable of reaching targets up to 150 kilometers away. These ships represent the earliest regional air defense vessels in the Chinese Navy. However, over time, the RIF system has become increasingly outdated. Russian spare parts required for maintenance have grown harder to obtain, and compatibility issues have arisen, including incompatibility with systems on newer vessels. By 2025, these 2 vessels will remain in service, yet their performance will be significantly inferior to the new generation Type 055 destroyers. The latter feature a 112-cell vertical launch system and a displacement of 13,000 tons. Now turning to the Type 052B destroyers, the Guangzhou and Wuhan vessels were constructed at Shanghai's Jiangnan shipyard, launched in 2002 and commissioned in 2004 respectively. The Type 052B has a displacement of 6,500 tons, integrating Ukrainian gas turbines and Russia's STIL air defense missile system. It carries 16 YJ-83 anti-ship missiles, possessing both anti-ship and anti-submarine capabilities. The Guangzhou underwent extensive modernization last year, receiving new radar and missile systems while adopting a hull profile closer to that of a frigate. However, their Russian-derived design resulted in inefficient deck space utilization and posed significant weight balancing challenges during upgrades, leading to suboptimal modernization outcomes. The acquisition and construction of these vessels, representing a total investment of billions of dollars, facilitated the Chinese Navy's transition from a defensive to a blue water fleet. These 8 vessels provided crucial technological foundations for the Chinese Navy, particularly in 8,000-ton hull design, regional air defense capabilities, and anti-ship missile technology, laying the groundwork for subsequent 055 and 052D destroyers. Starting from the 051 destroyers of the 1970s to the current continuous commissioning of 10,000-ton class vessels, the Chinese Navy's capabilities have surged dramatically. By 2025, the Chinese Navy's fleet had expanded to over 60 vessels, including 3 aircraft carriers and 51 Aegis-equipped destroyers, ranking second globally in total displacement behind only the United States. However, over time, the technology of these Russian-designed vessels gradually became obsolete and less user-friendly. For instance, the modern class destroyers' vertical launch systems featured only 32 cells, significantly underperforming compared to domestically developed new-generation vessels. The RIF air defense system on the Type 051C destroyer suffers from slow response times and poor compatibility with new data links, while the YJ-83 anti-ship missile on the Type 052B destroyer has a range of 200 kilometers. The newer YJ-18 missile deployed on modern vessels easily exceeds 400 kilometers. Although retrofitting these ships could enhance some capabilities, their inherent design limitations make such upgrades less than ideal. Compared to investing heavily in retrofits, building new vessels offers better cost-effectiveness. The emergence of the Type 055 destroyer represents a comprehensive leap over older ships. Online discussions reflect public sentiment toward these aging vessels. Some netizens describe them as a chicken rib, neither tasty enough to eat nor valuable enough to discard. Despite their relatively short service life of about 20 years, technological obsolescence makes them ill-suited for major missions. Some even propose decommissioning them as target ships or selling them to friendly nations. Others jokingly suggest gifting them to Russia to build goodwill. While humorous, these remarks highlight the vessel's technical predicament. Nevertheless, from a strategic perspective, these vessels retain certain value. The Navy requires a fleet size, and these older ships can still form task groups for low-intensity missions like escorting in the Gulf of Aden. While they may gradually be phased out after 2030, their historical role remains significant. Even Russia now operates only 2 modern-class destroyers, making China the largest user of this class. The emergence of these vessels marks China's naval transition from foreign dependence to self-sufficiency. Initially acquired as stopgap solutions, today's Chinese Navy no longer relies on external technology. While these aging ships may seem somewhat awkward now, they played an indispensable role in China's naval rise. Today, the Chinese Navy leads Asia in capability and will continue to consolidate this position.